What is the update?
Sir, I was reliably informed by both the Permanent Secretary of Federal Ministry of Health as well as the Chairman House Committee on Health Services that this has been overtaken. That the last time I was told that it has been corrected, and what was pending was the cash backing, which I communicated to you about a month ago. That on the 7th.
No, it can't be a month ago. No. We met here
on the 7th.
Last meeting. Okay.
That's on the 7th. Today is 9th already, sir. So we have been informed that that is no longer a problem. The problem now is cash backing. During then, I spoke with you and you said the cash backing was going to come when FAC meeting holds. FAC meeting held on the 23rd of August, which I also brought to your attention that FAC meeting has held. And you said it will take some days before the FAC resolution will be materialized. And so I went back to my people and told them that worst case scenario, we should give up to at least first week into the next month when FAC meeting and all the processes will have held. So I want to say that though a lot of effort has been put into getting this matter addressed, it is still lingering, and the FAC meeting has held and the cash backing has not been successful.
You know, I don't keep the cash. I'm even doing more than a labor minister should do. I do their own work. I do their own. I go to president and request for money as if I'm finance minister. I'm overstepping my bounds, actually. Pandemic is a national emergency. Certain rights have to be waived. Now, the last time I spoke to the finance minister, she said to me, "You are the one asking president to approve special top-up for hazard in all areas. And we are cash-strapped. We need to pay other civil servants. So why don't we do this? And as we are collecting money, we will pay this because we already committed to it." They are committed to it, and you even said it. That we are the government that is committed to it. You didn't do this program when the Jonathan administration was here. I keep on saying it. Oil sold for $130 a barrel. And the money was here. But now we are scratching and doing all this. And you don't even want to clap for us. You go and disparage us on national television. And disparage president of national television. It's not good. I don't like it. You're still penning me that you did it. You're still penning me. No, your apology is by mouth now. This one is scattered it all over Nigeria. So why don't you give us the benefit of doubt that this particular government of Muhammadu Buhari means well and is listening to you? That's the important thing. So you people have gone to the extreme. You want to kill a fly with a sledgehammer. That's what you are doing. Or a willing horse. My president said, willing horse, you want to ride it to death. We will not die, you. So, Dr. Sokomba, let's go to the next point.
Thank you very much. The next
after you take clip of this meeting and give to your people.
Yes, sir.
Please. Okay. All right.
The next item on our demand was the payment of the outstanding 2014, 2015, 2016, which during our meeting, you said you had no funds.
We had an agreement there.
Yes, so it was not addressed. I'm just mentioning it.
No, but why do you put it before Nigerian public again? That is where we failed. We didn't fail. We had an agreement here that after COVID we address this and other issues. There are one or two other issues that we need to address.
Yes, sir. The reason I'm mentioning this is that you said 6 of the 8 demands were addressed.
Yes.
And so I needed to
I
mention
will list
the
my own
8
6
demands.
I will list them. I
yes,
have them.
Then
I have a file on you.
Yes, sir. Then the next item was the minimum wage payment.
So, the members of the 4th Estate of the Realm, you can see that this is not an issue. We have put it in abeyance. We shelved it for discussion on a after COVID. Go on. Yes, no agreement was breached. Okay, go on.
So on the minimum wage allowance,
Yes.
we presented here that our doctors on GiveMace and other interns are the only set of workers in Nigeria that their minimum wage has not been paid. And at one point, the conclusion was that the NAD should make presentation of those, should present the details of those people.
Yes.
But subsequently, again, we were told, because we are not an authorizing institution, that our institutions should submit it to the Ministry of Health for appropriate action.
Okay.
Up till this day, that again has not materialized to the payment of those people whose minimum wage was pending.
Thank you. You know, I'm a conciliator. Simply put, mediator. This side, I owe them a lot of it. What I owe them is that so many of these things, I will remember them. So many of these things, I'm a practitioner. So I know what is being said. You have forgotten to also add that one of your demands was that state governments should do so. Part of your demand again is that we will put a timeline on it. And we agreed that no timeline should be on this matter. Because it is not the resident doctors that are directly affected. Those who are affected are ad hoc medical workers and medical doctors, like house officers and NYSC. They are the people that are concerned here in the main. And it was also agreed that health is on concurrent list. So that the best we can do is to persuade state governments again to address this particular thing, and then give you an assignment. And that assignment is, NAD is to submit list of the 14 institutions to Federal Ministry of Health, and Federal Ministry of Health will forward it to Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning for expedient action. Have you done so? Have you done your own part of the again?
Sir, do you recall you subsequently corrected us that NAD does not have authority to send a list to Ministry of Health for Ministry of Health to forward to Finance? So it was corrected that our hospitals should do so, which I know.
But I said,
that has
I also said, you see, I've worked in Federal Ministry of Health. I worked in hospital services where that woman is. And I know the problem of the civil service, the bureaucracy. That is why I advised you people, that as you're submitting to Federal Ministry of Health, you do advance copy to us here and to the Head of Service and Office of Finance and Budget and Planning. It's permitted. It even helps us. So that if the CMDs inject foreign names, it will be detected. So we are assisting you. If you forward it to them as advance copy, and the CMDs now do the normal and write to them, hospital services will compare the two. Even finance will compare. We who are here, we can also compare. Because the fact that we're not the paying point doesn't mean we will allow government money to be stolen. No stealing will be allowed in all these payments. So you have not done your own. NAD, you have not. Okay, we'll go to the next point.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, sir.
Yes.
You recall that in March, we had a memorandum of understanding, as you rightly stated, that was jointly signed by all the stakeholders in the health sector. And the agreement was the payment of April, May, June COVID added allowance in the first instance.
3 months.
3 months.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of June, we had presented our concern that the payment for June was outstanding, and to demonstrate the efforts of government, 6 institutions were paid, which we appreciate your effort for. But I also wish to inform you that we also pointed out that some hospitals were still having issues with the payment of the April and May, especially for those people who were on Give Me. And that problem, unfortunately, is still persisting. And we also have the June, which we have been gladly informed by the Accountant General that approval has been secured for the payment of the June. But before now, that's for the rest of the 48 hospitals. So before now, that was also a problem that was pending. But I'm glad that during this meeting, it has been brought to our attention that that is being addressed. However, during the next meeting we had, it was also discussed that before we start talking about the permanent hazard allowance, which is also one of our demands, that will not be discussed until another 3 months COVID was settled for July, August, and September. As we are all aware, we are already in September, and
you are perfectly correct, but let us not be misquoted too, because we have that agreement, MOU, and we entered that MOU with all the health professionals. So if we are discussing that MOU and the next stanza and what will come out from it, we're not going to do it with NAD alone. That's what I have said before. At the meeting we held, it was even in my house that we did that meeting. And we said 3 months in the first instance, because the 3 months is what we know government can shoulder them. And that thereafter, that we look at the next 3 months, that we are projecting that COVID will end in 3 months, making 6 months. But that these first 3 months, we are going to pay A, B, C, D percentage to this and to that and to that. And you know, even though I'm not discussing it now, till all of you gather, all the health professionals, and you know that even in the payment that we have done now, it's only a government that is getting money on the streets that we agree to pay all this quantum of persons for COVID allowance. I'm not discussing it, but that's what the truth of the matter. So let us navigate out from the 3 months that we firmly agreed with you people. Let us navigate out from the GIFMIS persons you say that were not captured and were not paid. That is more critical. So let us finish the payment. That's what I also said the last time, that we must finish this 3 months, because even when we were discussing that last time, a lot of people in COVID designated centers and who are inside the COVID isolation center and worse, they have not received their 20%. They hadn't. So we must finish this and then we go on. Now, that discussion must hold. And we're not going to hold it with only NAD. NMA president, I've told him that, and he is agreeable to it. He said that is the best thing. Johesu people, nurses, and whatever, I've also told them. Tomorrow they are coming back here with other demands that are outside this particular issue. One of them being the COVID payment for 3 months. But they are saying that some of the health workers, like people in medical records, were not paid, that they were paid 10%. We're going to rectify it. We'll look at it and rectify it. Because we did a blanket thing for hospitals at the time because of the COVID. So we will handle it and we shall deal with it. And maybe even as we deal with it, we can holistically deal with even the issue of permanent hazard allowance. So that Dr. Sukumba doesn't climb on television and say, government is very callous, we are still paying 5,000. And some people carry it away. It's wrong. We are not paying 5,000, we are paying 5,000 on top of the big percentage we are giving of basic salary. So it's important. So we are going to do, but let us navigate this.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, sir. The permanent hazard allowance was also one of, but now it's been discussed. So as at the time of our correspondences, it was still an issue that was unresolved. Then we had the issue of the domestication of the Medical Residency Training Act in state hospitals, which we discussed elaborately that is at the discretion of the state government to implement. So basically, these were the demands we had, 8 of them.
Yes.
And these were the updates we had on them. And I can say categorically that the personal protective equipment was the one that was addressed successfully and to a logical conclusion. Thank you, sir. Yeah, and he said that I was saying that it was not addressed. So, as at the time I was making that statement, it was also not addressed.
No, you said it was not addressed at all. That's the language you used.
So,
that's the language you used. You didn't agree even that we have expended 20 billion on from them. You didn't give them that credit. That's not fair. You didn't. You didn't also say that you saw this of insurance brokers and even evidence of payment of 9.3 billion. It was all distributed here at our last meeting. So it's not fair. I pity these people on this side, but I pity myself more because when you people do this thing, it eventually comes back here. So we have gone through the 8, but this last point you raised, let us give health an additional assignment. Let health write to Vice President to list the Residency Act as a discussion for National Economic Council, so that you appeal to governors there on their behalf, so that they will know we are doing something, at least.
Representative of the President of NMA, the President of Association of Resident Doctors of Nigeria, and his officers, gentlemen of the press. We come to the end of our meeting, this conciliation meeting today, the 9th of September 2020, between the leadership of the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors and the Federal Ministries of Health, Finance, Budget and National Planning, National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission, and other government agencies like the Office of the Head of Service of the Federation. You participated in this meeting, so we can't tell you too much stories, but you are aware that there's a strike that is called up by the National Association of Resident Doctors. And their grounds or demands were in the areas of the provision of group life insurance for doctors that are not satisfied, for doctors and other care workers, and the payment of debt in service benefit. They were also not happy with the implementation of the medical residency training program and the act that has came out from it. The implementation is what they were quarreling with. 2 legs of the implementation. First, that at the national level, even though it's domesticated here, and even though it's a national act, and domesticated for states. The implementation of the 4 billion naira allocated for that purpose in the 2020 Appropriation Act has not been done satisfactorily. They also asked for immediate payment of the remaining hazard allowance for healthcare workers, their members inclusive. That's the COVID-19 special inducement allowance, special inducement and hazard allowance. They also asked for the payment of all owed arrears of consequential adjustments of the minimum wage to our members and the implementation of such also in the states, especially the state health institutions. In line with the provisions of the Trade Dispute Act, we apprehended this strike, and we also expressed our feelings about the strike because they said it's a suspended strike, and we say we had apprehended much earlier before now. So you were there, but we, in the spirit of brotherhood, decided to continue our dialogue and review all the steps we've taken since our last meeting. So we went through them, as I promised, and you were here to witness. And after extensive deliberation, we reached the following understanding, by which we now drew a memorandum of understanding arising from this meeting. Our first agreement was that everybody agrees that the federal government have done well in the area of provision of personal protective equipment, PPE, to all hospitals, especially the federal hospitals. We, as a federal government, through the Presidential Task Force, even extended same to state governments and state hospitals. So all of us were satisfied, and we marked it good. Second item is the provision of group life insurance for doctors and other healthcare workers, and the payment of death in service benefits, which is the ultimate aim of group life insurance. It's paid to the next of kin as beneficiaries. The meeting noted that, just like we agreed the last time, that the federal government had paid up 9,300,000,000 to insurance companies for group life insurance, and we were satisfied that the Office of Head of Service have done what they're supposed to do. And we now reviewed what has happened because NAT complained that their members have made claims through their teaching hospitals and that those claims have not been attended to. We meeting noted that the rightful way is for the claims to be, that's claims for death, for fatalities, to be pushed through the hospitals of the employee. By this we mean the teaching hospitals, federal medical centers, and other specialized hospitals. Therefore, we requested NAT to revisit the process and also requested the Federal Ministry of Health to also issue another circular to the hospitals so that it will be transmitted to the relevant organ of government, which is the Office of Head of Service, and from there to the Ministry of Finance and Accountant General's Office. We also said that in view of the fact that we have a top-up for health workers that came as donation from some insurance companies, there will be a liaison between Federal Ministry of Health and the PTF to top up the claim of 300% of emolument, which is what is assured by group life. We said Federal Ministry of Labor should be copied the claim and the authentic nominal roll that have been transmitted. Universal implementation of the Medical Residency Training Program in all federal and state hospitals. We noted that the 2020 Appropriation Act, revised by the time we had our COVID-19 pandemic, that the sum of 4 billion was appropriated for residency training, but was done under a wrong heading, under the service-wide vote. Instead of the heading reading for medical residency training, it read for medical hazard allowances. This has necessitated that the National Assembly should be reapproached for the accurate designation of the head in question, either through a environment procedure or corrigendum or other allowed budgetary change procedure. The president of NAT affirmed and confirmed to the meeting that the National Assembly, that the National Assembly investigation reveals that the amendment had been effected. Based on this, the Accountant General of the Federation, who has been processing this fund for payment, assured the meeting that his office will need only 2 weeks within which to effect these payments. In the same vein, we looked at the issue of domestication of the Residency Training Act by state governments. And the meeting agreed that states are subnationals and there is autonomy of states within the Federation. Therefore, the Federal Ministry of Health was mandated by the meeting to table this at National Economic Council and the next meeting of the Council of States in order to persuade the state governments to do the required domestication and payments. We reviewed again the issue of payment of outstanding 2014, 2015, and 2000 arrears. A meeting recalled that it had been agreed much earlier that the issue will be discussed post-COVID-19. Therefore, it was agreed by both parties that no agreement was breached. On the implementation of the payment of the special hazard and inducement allowance, the meeting was satisfied that 20 billion already appropriated for it in 2020 COVID-19 intervention budget has been literally exhausted, as about 19.01 billion have been utilized. The President of the Federal Republic, President Muhammadu Buhari, had last week hearkened to the calls by the Ministers of Finance and Budget and Planning and the Minister of Labor and Employment, approved an additional 8,901,231,773 naira 55 kobo to pay up the large chunk of the June 2020 outstanding COVID allowance to all health workers. This amount has been cash backed, and the amount, after being cash backed, the mandate has been sent to the Central Bank of Nigeria for payments to start for the beneficiaries of the special hazard and inducement allowance with effect from today, September 9, 2020. This will bring the total disbursement on this heading to about 28.5 billion when the payments is done. Contiguous to this again is the issue of a new rate of hazard allowance for health workers. The meeting agreed that the federal government has, of its own volition, put in place this special COVID allowance for the COVID period. And because of the fact we don't know when the COVID era will come to an end, that there is an urgent need to review the old rate of 5,000 naira a month hazard allowance for all health workers. And in this wise, the Honorable Minister of Labor and Employment and my ministry, we have agreed to make contact with all stakeholders in the health sector and fix a date for this negotiation to commence as soon as possible. As a matter of fact, we are meeting with Johesu tomorrow. And after meeting with the Johesu leadership, we will be able to communicate back to NMA and NAD on the date for the commencement of this negotiation. We also discussed the issue of payment of all areas of the consequential adjustment arising from the new national minimum wage to her members and state government implementation of same for their members who are working in the state government's tertiary teaching hospitals. First, it was noted that on the federal side, those mostly affected were the house officers, interns, medical interns, and NYAC members working in federal tertiary centers. It was agreed, therefore, that because those allowances are paid to them, I think even in their salaries, from the amended GIFMIS platform, that the NRD be assigned the responsibility to submit a list of hospitals that are defaulting with membership, with the names of their members, through the chief medical directors or heads of those hospitals, again to Federal Ministry of Health for immediate treatment. Even though this is not part of their demand, but it's also a medical issue, because they are here also to complain. The Association of Doctors working in federal universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education, that they were omitted during the payments. Meeting agreed that these workers should use their platform from their various institutions to make a case to their primary employers, which in this case is the Federal Ministry of Education, and that the general stakeholders meeting will meet with education to assist and see what can be done. This is in the main the agreements we reached at this meeting. And because of the volatility of this situation we find ourselves, because we're in a pandemic and it's a medical emergency, it's a national emergency, meeting resolved that NRD leadership will convoke first and consult with our Executive Council within the next 24 hours with a view to briefing them that the meeting has been satisfactory. The meeting has satisfactorily demonstrated that most of the issues in dispute have been largely attended to. There are only one or two areas that we hope will be addressed within the next 2 weeks by the Office of the Accountant General, working in concert with the Federal Ministry of Health. The meeting also affirmed that nobody will be victimized for any activity that connotes participation in this industrial action. Thank you very much. So give them to talk before we sign. We are going to sign this memorandum of understanding.